Okay, I am ready. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing, and it is time for Emily's Energy Corner. The guest that we had on the show today is physical therapist and fat disorder specialized manual lymphatic drainage therapist as well, Jean Coletti. And I met Jean because we are both Dr. Botter manual lymph drainage and combined decongestive therapy therapists, and she was a presenter this past time at our recertification for the Botter training, and I just totally fell in love with her. She has so much knowledge and so much passion to help people that primarily get turned away in their medical practices for just being fat, and it isn't. Fat disorders are very serious, and it's very important that you find medical practitioners that will work with you and understand that fat disorders are diet and exercise resistant. So all these people that just keep saying, you got to lose weight, you got to work out more, you got to do this, you're not going to get the results that other people would get when they're exercising. And the other thing, she has a CVAC, that's CV like violet, AC. It's a pod, and you sit in this pod, and it adjusts the air pressure and the oxygen to oxygenate the blood and help with the lymphatic tissue and fatty tissues as well as lymphatic, and it's really been instrumental in helping people in their healing journey. And like she said, athletes and other people use it, as well as people that are sick with fat disorders. Venous stasis can go, and lymphedema can go. There's all kinds of health disorders that this CVAC pod can help with. And I know that there are more on the West Coast than the East Coast, but they're making their way over here. So do start looking, especially if this episode resonated with you. If you have been feeling like you are not finding answers for your health, this may be one avenue. It might be you. And now we're going into Emily's Energy Corner because I know exactly the message that I have today. And it's the message that I've been harping on for a long time. However, I'm coming at it from a different angle. So I try hard not to be overly political on social media because I realize, one, I need to be promoting books and my business is healing, and it's really not the place to go getting in fights with people because people come out of the woodworks to attack you on any side that you're on. But I thought, you know what, this is a really simple statement. I'm going to post it. And the statement was that we don't think that a person that receives money from the pharmaceutical industry should be drafting healthcare legislation. That's pretty simple, right? And then they went on to say that they don't believe that people receiving money from the oil industry should be drafting legislation on the oil industry. This is common sense. Like, I don't understand how anybody can fight that. That's a really basic groundwork of laying. The problem was that a person's photo who said the quote was up with the quote. And the photo was a Democrat woman who apparently people hate. And I put it only on my author page and not even my personal page because my personal page has way too many people that are conservative right from high school and college. I live in Georgia, and there's a lot of these people, and they like to come out and come with their claws out. So I like to spread more global universal truths and understanding on my author page because it has more open-minded people that I thought could just read a quote and not care who said it. But the truth is, apparently that's not true. So the quote was said, and it was just personal friends that came after me. She's poisonous for our country, and this is wrong, and she's terrible. And then all of a sudden it turned into this Democrat issue. She didn't say Republicans are doing this. She said anybody across the board. We don't think that people that are taking money should be responsible for the legislation that they are drafting. That makes sense, right? So I ended up arguing with one person, engaging with it, and they took it all the way over to like Planned Parenthood and how terrible the Democrats are. It was just crazy. And I said, in what alternate universe are we talking about babies? We're talking about legislation here. And it was very basic legislation. This makes sense. If you're taking money from these companies, why are you in charge of drafting the legislation? This is easy. Now, my whole point of this is that it's not about politics. I am very well aware that I'm not going to change anybody's mind from one side to the other, and I don't need to. I still like you. I like everybody, and I respect your opinions and your vote. That's fine. But it's the same issue that I just ran into by posting this political thing. It's the same thing that's happening with our health. When we are approaching change in our health and healing, more times than not, unfortunately, people are just as narrow-minded in their search of what they're willing to do or who they're willing to go and see. Now, what I noticed or what I thought about this morning was, had I put somebody else's picture next to that quote, had I put the president's picture or somebody else on the far right, they would have thought that quote was brilliant. I know they would have. I know that they never even took into account what was actually said. They were just mad that I put up a picture of this woman, which is crazy and unnecessary. But it's the same thing. Okay, so health and healing, when you are facing your own health challenge, when I say things like try acupuncture, Chinese medicine, maybe you should look into Ayurvedic. My friend, after she went through stem cell therapy or bone marrow transplant, she's a bone marrow transplant survivor, and she was given a 4% chance to live when she was diagnosed with an incredibly rare form of cancer. And she changed her whole life and became a really staunch meditator and talked to her cells every day and really turned it on the inside and sought out a nutritionist, changed her diet drastically, and did the bone marrow transplant. And after she went through all of the traditional allopathic Western medicine that was necessary to save her life, then she went and spent 10 days at the Chopra Center in La Jolla, California for Ayurvedic therapy. And they did like sesame oil enemas and different things that they do to cleanse the gut and the colon and the healing. And they did an unbelievable amount of completely what for us is like crazy off the wall type of healing. But she used both because she knew that she's in charge of her health and her life, and that you cannot afford to be so judgmental when it comes to health and healing. And this morning was just a reminder of that. This whole like political thing, I ended up deleting it because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it to share. It's unfortunate, but it is worth it for me. You have to pick your battles. What things are the most important for you? What hill is it that you're willing to die on? Well, mine's not going to be politics, but it is going to be health and healing. So I am willing to have the big fight against GMOs. I am willing to have the big fight against the narrow-mindedness of your own approach to healing if you want to make a change. Now, hopefully you can find an A to B answer and then it's done and over. And it might be a surgery and then you're cleared. But if you don't treat the underlying causes of what predicated that illness, if you don't treat what's really going on in your mind with your life experiences, the cellular memory that hangs on tight to trauma or issues, the genetic code that's passed down, not just for genetics and health, but for the genetic code that is passed down with your emotions. That is real. And then muscle memory. I'm a huge, huge advocate of why do we carry pain where we carry pain. And it's not just a muscle issue. It's an emotional issue that the muscles store because they also have a memory system. So you have to dig into that body. So great, if you can have a surgery and you can treat whatever the condition is, again, you have to treat the pair. And there's always another route. There's always another route to find healing. There's always an alternative route to get to the destination that you want. But there's also an alternative route that is necessary for you to take off whatever blinders you might have into being against certain types of healing. What may save your life might be stem cell treatment, and you might be adamantly opposed to it. But then when it's the only thing that saves you, do you change your mind or do you die with it? Because that's what you believe. And that's what's happening with politics. That's what's happening with the toxicity. Toxicity, the definition is knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. There's a lot of people that just pick a side because that's what they're told to believe. There's a lot of people that are very anti-energy work or particular practices that are based on energy foundation. If you don't think that we have energy, what do you think runs us all day long? When you go, ooh, you got a lot of energy, but then you bring up the energy body and they go, oh, no, I don't believe in that. Well, yes, you do. You just said. So we know on some level, we've just been taught in a way that's like, here's what you believe, and you don't really get to question. And my gosh, I think questioning is the foundation for life. I think that you should question everything because that's what gives you real and authentic answers that are yours and not somebody else's that got put into you. So that is my soapbox energy corner today because I think that's an important message. Get out of your own way and allow yourself to heal and find those places that offer it. You've been listening to All About Healing. Shoot me an email, EmilyAFrancis with an IS @gmail.com. And thanks for being here. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.